Hello guys, this is Code with Vlad, and in this tutorial we are going to learn how to deploy your website on Amazon. I'm talking about static websites, so a website that does not require a server. Something like React or a static web page, anything basically that is just HTML and JavaScript, it can work. So Amazon AWS is an amazing solution to deploy your infrastructure. Unfortunately, it can be quite hard for somebody who has never used AWS, and even for those people who have used AWS, it's still kind of hard to get things right. But hopefully you have me, hopefully you have Code with Vlad, and Vlad is going to teach you everything he knows about that subject. So I have to deploy quite a lot of websites, and every time I was deploying them, there was this small little thing that I forgot how to do, and then I need to Google for hours to finally find that it's a silly solution. So before we start, one thing that you would need to do, and I highly advise it, is to not use the DNS of your provider. So you are at your home, at your place, and you are using an internet provider, right? So I live in England, for me it's HyperOptic. So HyperOptic has its own DNS, which caches all the websites you request, and it caches them like for a day. So believe it or not, I once lost 4 hours trying to understand why is my website not working, until I just loaded it on my phone with 4G and then it was working. And then I understood that the problem is not the AWS or my servers, the problem is something in the house, and it was the DNS that my internet provider uses to save some traffic, to save some money. So I'm using Mac, so I don't know how to do it in Windows. You can Google how to change your DNS, but you should pick the Google DNS. So for that, for instance, I go in network, I go advanced, and then I have DNS. And by definition, you'll have some DNS, default DNS, or something that is used by your internet provider. You should delete that and change to Google DNS 8888 or 8844. That will allow you to have stupid bugs where you update the website and your website is not updated on your computer and you don't understand why. It's like illogical. You lose so much time. Please do that. It will help you with a lot of stuff already. So that's the first advice. The second advice is, okay, let's do it as if we really started from nothing. So you want to buy a domain name, or you have one already. So this tutorial can help you how to deploy on Amazon. So I will simulate as if I was buying it. So I will go to Namecheap and I'll buy a domain, a cheap domain. Let's call it just a useless domain. Let's see if we can get something for $1. Okay, I have one domain for $1, just a useless domain XYZ. Let's pick that, add to cart, view item, checkout. And I don't need to auto renew that, I just need to get it. So confirm order. And I think my cart is already linked to Namecheap, so it should be working. Okay, very well, pay now. Order is processing. Damn, that's slow. Slow. We've got no time to lose because we need to deploy that website. I don't know what's happening with the internet today, guys, but it's a bit slow. And it's not the problem with Namecheap. Namecheap is quite fast. Let's actually shame on you, Namecheap. No, I'm kidding. They're good guys. They're proposing nice domains for quite cheap. Hence their name. Okay, I just had a small bug where my cart was expired, so I had to enter a new one. And let's go and purchase that domain for 1 year. I don't need a renewal, I don't need anything from that, I just need the domain, because the domain will be managed by AWS. So I pay now, and hopefully this time it will work. Yeah, babe, we just paid $1. Okay, just a useless domain. Oh, I just bought just a useless domain. And I think the other one was something like just a simple domain. Because of this bug with the cart, I think I bought 2 domains, but anyway, it's $2, whatever. So we have just a useless domain, XYZ. We don't need to touch anything here for now. We just need to go to advanced DNS. Okay, we go to advanced DNS, and yeah, that way we see it better. We go to advanced DNS, and now we go back to Amazon. So the first thing is that you need to create a certificate. So we go here, certificate manager, and very important for the certificate manager that you do it from North Virginia. If you do any other region, you will not be able to use it. That's the way it is. Just click here and use North Virginia. Then you have request a certificate, request a certificate, and then we'll use the domain name. So we just bought just a useless domain name, just a useless domain XYZ. We just enter here. So this will use the naked domain. So if you go to http://just-a-useless-domain XYZ, you'll get there. But it will not work if you do www.just-a-useless-domain XYZ. So for that you need to you need to allow it here in the configuration, in the certificate. So add another domain, and because you know, you can use www, but you can use app.just-a-useless-domain. You can use something else. It's called a subdomain. So if you want to use whatever subdomain you want, you just paste the domain and put the wildcard, so a star dot, and that way you will have the certificate for all the subdomains. You press next, and DNS validation. Don't need to do anything here. Confirm and confirm, yeah. So now it will give us something that we need to put in Namecheap. So Namecheap will give access to Amazon. It will give Amazon the right to use our domain. But here's a bit important. A lot of people get that wrong. So you don't copy the whole stuff. You just copy the part that is before the dot. So you copy that. Okay. Then you go to advanced DNS. You create a new record. And then you do CNAME record, and you paste that. You paste what you have copied. You come back and you copy the whole thing. Copy the whole thing, and then you do it here. And you can press 1 minute, and you confirm. Okay, it is confirmed. We have a CNAME record, and now we just need to wait till Amazon discovers that CNAME record on our domain. So that will be a proof that you own that domain and that Amazon can use it. So it will take some time. We can just do continue. It will take some time. And once it's done, we'll go through the next part. Very well. After some time, our certificate got approved. So now we can go into Route 53 to configure our domain name. So the first thing we are going to do is to go into hosted zones, and create a new hosted zone. So it will be basically your domain. So let's copy it here, like that, domain name, and description, no, public hosted zone, yep. And create a hosted zone. Okay, so the next thing to do is, you see those DNS servers, we just need to paste them into the Namecheap. So we go into domain, and the process will be the same with any domain name provider. So domain broker, it's very easy to do it with Namecheap, but if you have any other broker, it will be easy as well. Okay, here we go, and here in name servers we actually check custom DNS, and we need to copy and paste those fields one by one. Okay, so what happens now is that the domain name, just a useless domain, XYZ, is redirected to Amazon. And now we can actually manage it from Amazon. It will take some time to actually propagate the domain to the Amazon name servers. So in the meantime, we can go and create our website. So assuming you already have a website, you already have some HTML file. I have some here, so it's just a website. And assuming you had that and you want to deploy it, and this is basically why you came for here, you have a website, you want to put it on Amazon AWS. The way to do it is that first you go to S3. So S3 is a service to host files, S3. Then you need to create a bucket. And usually the convention would be that you create a bucket with your name, with your website name. So for instance, here, my bucket will be that name. So my name, so here you need to decide where will your website live. I choose to make it live on www.justuselessdomain.xyz. So I can copy that, create a new bucket. Yep. And I will put it in North Virginia, because frankly it does not matter where the bucket is, because we're going to use a CDN, Cloudfront, to read from that bucket, and the CDN is kind of propagated around the world, so it doesn't matter. Plus it saves some money because North Virginia is cheaper. Okay, let's go. We need to block the access. We don't need to allow the access, so we can keep it blocked. If you unblock the access, you can access the files directly from the S3, but since we are using Cloudfront, we don't need to do that, so we can block the access, and then on the Cloudfront, we'll allow Cloudfront to actually access the files on that bucket, but it will be done only through the CDN Cloudfront, not directly through the links directly to S3. So go ahead, next, create a bucket. Okay, so we have just a useless domain XYZ, and let's drag and drop our file here, so our website, and here we go. Yep. And for now you don't need to do anything with S3 anymore, so we're going to go to CDN, so Cloudfront, and we're going to create a new distribution. So it will point to our S3 bucket we have just created, just a useless domain XYZ, right? It will have to restrict the access of the bucket, so we don't want other people to access to the files through the bucket. We want people to access to the files through the CDN, through the link of the Cloudfront. So yes, and we'll just create a new entity, that's fine, whatever. Grant read permission bucket, yes. Update the bucket policy, so it will update the bucket, so only the Cloudfront will read it. If you don't update it, you'll need to do it yourself with the S3 domain specific language, but it's a bit annoying to do, so we'll let Cloudfront do it for us. Redirect HTTP to HTTPS, because we want our site only on HTTPS. We can leave the caching as it is. We can compress the objects automatically. Cloudfront allows to use gzip, so we don't have to have a server doing that. It can automatically do that, so that's fancy. Your website will be smaller anyway. And here we are going to use only US, Canada, and Europe. And here we need to put the domain name that we're using. For us, it's this domain name, right? And I'm not putting www, and we'll see why just a bit later. So we use a custom certificate, the one we have created with the certificate manager. So you press here, custom, and you can choose it here. Just a useless domain XYZ, right? And I think that's all. The default root object is the first file that should be read automatically from the bucket, and it was index.html. So index.html. Don't put a slash here, don't put a slash, it's not a route, it's really the file. So leave it as is. And I think we're done. We're good here. We can create a distribution. Okay, we'll need to wait a bit. We'll need to wait a bit since it will be deployed. But normally if we click on this link, we should be able to access to the website through that link. So we can try it here already. Let's try it. Okay, it's not yet working, so we'll have to wait a bit till it is deployed. And once it is deployed, we should be at least have something, at least have a page. Hopefully we won't have any errors, but if we have some errors, we'll need to see why it's happening, but normally we shouldn't have any. So let's wait a bit and we'll see how it goes. So in the meantime, while it is deploying, we can check something else. And that's a very common problem when working with AWS. So I'll illustrate the problem. So let's say we have the website. So for instance, the checklist.io. When I type the checklist.io and I check the website, it's automatically on www. Right? And if I try to get rid of that, then it will still go on www. Well, it seems natural, but you actually need to do a lot of work for that, because basically this domain and the domain without the www are two different domains, and the AWS is treating those as two different domains. So when you will press www, you will land up on another website, and when you will press and when you will delete www, you will land up on another website. I mean, it's the same website, but for Google it will be considered as two different websites. So you'll need a mechanism to redirect. And this is what we're going to check now. Hopefully it is deployed soon. So let's check now if it's deployable, if it's readable. Okay, it seems to work. Okay, so we see here that it's working. Obviously you see that it's the same website, it's the same source code, but it's for demo purposes. So here we have this domain name, but we don't want to access our website through that domain name. We want to access our website through this domain name. So first we need to go, now we have the CDN in place. The website is on the CDN, so it's propagated through the world. It's very fast, it's cached and everything. We need to go into Route 53 and point our domain to that CDN. So let's go into hosted zones. Let's go to our zone, just a useless domain XYZ. Very well. And here we'll create a record that will point to that CDN. And let's do it now. So create a record, simple routing, then define simple record. So this is the naked domain. We just add www. So if we go to www. Just to use this domain XYZ, we should end on a record, yes, and we should use a alias to Cloudfront distribution. North Virginia is fine, and we don't have any yet. So very, very interesting. Let me actually check. I think we need to wait till the CDN finishes work. So Cloudfront, we need to check till it finishes its work, since till it's deployed. Okay, it's deployed. Let's say what I got wrong. So here we go. Did I write the domain name properly? Just a useless domain XYZ. I think it's yeah, it's the right one. And oh yeah, of course we didn't say it was www. So the default website will be www. So sorry for that. www. Just a useless domain.xyz. The certificate is this one, yeah, and we'll just need to edit it. So you see it's a bit annoying. You can make mistakes very easily. So we go to Route 53 and we go to hosted zones. We create a record, define a simple record, same thing, www, choose an endpoint, Cloudfront, and then you have that. Click here, define simple record, create records. Okay, very well. Now we should have the records in place. So if everything is propagated as it should be, when going on www, just to use this domain XYZ, we should land on our website. And it's working very well. However, let's fix that problem with the www. People, when they type your website on internet, they won't type www, right? They people type in Facebook, they don't type www.facebook. So if you will type your domain like that, I think there it will work because it will be cached, but let's try. If you type that like that, okay, it's working. But if you type, sometimes if you don't type like that, here it works because the domain name has been cached. But if you use it on a new browser, it won't cache it. So if you will type something like that, it will not work. You see, it does not know this website, right? But it does know www. Just another domain. So you might think that we can actually fix that in Route 53, right? Let's just create another domain that takes the naked domain as an entry and that sends our service, our signal to the same Cloudfront. Well, for that, to begin with, we need to modify Cloudfront and to add the second domain. So let's just do the test. I'm here showing something that you should not do, but let's just do it so we can see how it works. And so let's say that the DNS will also accept the naked domain, right? Okay, we'll just save it. We go back to Route 53. Go into hosted zones, go here, just a useless domain, and let's create another record which will take the naked domain and link to the same Cloudfront, right? Here we go, define simple record, and it will be naked domain. It will be an alias to the Cloudfront distribution. Well, I don't think you will be able to do it, but let's try. Okay, so it works. So let's try that. Let's try that. I'm going to show another way to do it as well, but let's try that. Create records. Okay, that seems to work. Now, normally, if we go to, let's actually open a new incognito window so we forget all the cache. Let's actually maybe move it here and there, here. So let's go there. Here we go. That works. So what happens if we go on the naked domain? That also works. But the problem is that it's the naked domain. So I want that when you type just useless domain.xyz, it always go on one website, on one domain, www, just a useless domain.xyz, and not just a useless domain xyz or sometimes www. It creates two different websites, and it's not very good for SEO, and it's a bit confusing because even for consumers, is it with W, is it without? If you type www, it will stay on www, and if you don't type it, it will just stay on that domain name. So you have basically two ways of accessing your website, which is not very good. So let's fix that. By the way, you can also have the same results by, you see where is this? Okay, naked domain, we can edit that, and we can also point it to another record in the hosted zone. So instead of pointing to the DNS, you can actually point to www, just another domain, and that will have the same result, except that it won't be pointing directly to the DNS, but it will be pointing to the other domain name that is pointing to the DNS. So in those two situations, you will end up with kind of two domain names, one with a subdomain www, the one we want to be our main domain, and the one with the naked domain without the www. So let's fix that. Okay, let's to fix that, we need to go to S3, and that's a bit clumsy way of fixing that, but that's how it works. Like, this is the only way of my knowledge. So yeah, we need to. So for that, we need to find just a useless domain xyz. It's actually a good example because here I've set up a bit differently. I didn't do it in a good way. So this, what is supposed to redirect us to www.xyz, right? So let's do something else. Let's actually, I hope it's not too confusing, but what I'm looking to do is when users go on that bucket, I want this bucket to redirect the users on the www domain XYZ bucket. And the way and the reason why I name the bucket www is just a convention, just so we know which is the right website and which is the redirect thing, just for me. So Virginia, yep, and that's it. Next, block all access, create bucket. Okay, cool. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to move my website to the www just a useless domain.xyz. So it's all coherent, right? So we don't, the main thing you want to have is coherency, logic in everything you do. So if a file is named a certain way, you need to name it a certain way. If a file is named another way, you need to name it another way. So okay, let's then go to Cloudfront. We're not done yet with the S3, but let's already go to Cloudfront because it will take some time and redirect this baby. So this should be our main website. So the main website is www, just to use this domain. So we don't need the other one. And this will actually point to, so that's it, and this distribution should actually point to the other bucket that we have just created. So www, just a useless domain, and not this one, just a useless domain, just www, just a useless domain. So this distribution points to the kind of right, to the right bucket, right? So origin path, we don't need that. Actually, wait. No, yeah, we don't need that. Restrict bucket access, yeah. And use another entity, I think we had that. Yep, we just keep that. And yes, update bucket policy. So that way Cloudfront will update the bucket so only the Cloudfront can access it. So yes, edit. And I think we're done here. So now we can come back. So we'll let it refreshing and cleaning the cache and updating the configuration. In the meantime, we can go to S3 and we can change some stuff. First of all, this will be our main website. So our website is on www, just to use this domain XYZ. Our redirect thing will be on that. So if people go there, they should be redirected to here. So the first thing to do is to delete all the files that we have here, delete. It will be an empty bucket with just a redirect functionality. And then we go to properties and static website hosting, and we're going to say redirect request to, and just copy the name because I don't want to make a mistake. So just copy it and www. So redirect to that domain protocol HTTPS, right? And that's it. Save. Okay, and now we need to copy that file. And now we need to copy that URL. Copy that URL. That's quite important because we need to create another Cloudfront distribution. Because if we access to that file directly, it will work. Like if we click here, it will redirect us to the www website. But this is a HTTP, and we need to use HTTPS if we want to access that URL from the domain. So we need to use that link instead. So right here, and not kind of the ID of the bucket. So there's two ways you can reference a S3 bucket, either by its ID or by a kind of dynamically generated link that the bucket can generate if it needs to host a website. So this is what we need to use, right? So now we can come back to Cloudfront, right? And we need to, okay, so we have the repository working, so just a useless domain XYZ that is pointing to the real website, the www.justauselessdomain.xyz. We need to create another distribution that will point to our redirect bucket. So here, don't use the ID of the bucket. Don't use that, but use the link we have copied, this one. So this link, actually, that's weird. I think I copied, what the heck? I copied it. For some reason, it didn't copy. So let me copy it again. Oh la la. So just a useless domain and its properties, copy link. Can I just copy it? Like, let me check it. Okay, it's working. So we come back and we paste it here. Okay, now we have the HTTP, that's fine. So let me check. We need to redirect, all right. We don't need caching. It's very important. We don't need caching, so caching disabled. We just want to pass through everything that comes. We don't need to cache. There's nothing to cache. It's just a redirect bucket. Right. So no need to compress anything. The CNAME. The CNAME will be for the naked domain. So I'll just type here naked domain. It will have a custom SSL, the one we have. I use this domain XYZ. And the rest, no default root object. The rest is fine. Okay, so let's, where is that? Here we go. So this is the one we have just created with the, naked domain CNAME. And remember the ending, ETH, like Ethereum. So we go to Route 53, right? And we go to hosted zones. And then just a useless domain XYZ. And here we already have that record that points to the true domain, the www, and we have the naked one. So we'll just edit the naked one. Okay. So clear that. So we want it to be an alias to a Cloudfront distribution pointing to the ETH, to the ETH one that we have just created, and with the naked domain. So that means if you go on that website, you will end up on our domain. Save it. And I think that's it. I think that's it, folks. Let's just try it. Just a useless domain. Yeah. I mean it's working well. We can even clean the cache. Oops. Got my new keyword, I need to get used to it. Empty cache and hard reload. Yeah, I mean, that is working. I'll check it on my phone right now. So using a 4G network and just a useless domain.xyz. Okay, on my phone it's working. Either you go to www or either you go to the naked domain, it should always redirect you to the www version. So you always have one website, whatever happens. And that's the point of this tutorial. I wanted to show you how to deploy a website on AWS. As you see, it's not that easy. There's a lot of small things to do, but now you know. I hope you liked this tutorial and see you in the next one.